Welcome back to Wrist Check Pod. This is episode 22.
Woo!
The gang is back together again for season 4.
Season opener.
Season opener. And we've got a special guest with us today. We got Thom Bettridge, head creative of SSense, formerly of Snobiety. Welcome, Thom.
It's an honor to be here, guys.
Respect.
Yeah. Thank you for coming through, man.
Sometime in the making, but we made it happen.
Yes.
But before we get started, wrist check. Let's start with Sean. What do you got for us? So the man who never repeats a watch. First of all, I'm sorry. Let me cut you off before we get started. I'm the only one not wearing sunglasses.
You're the only adult in the room.
Yeah, just for the record. For those
the bright lights of wrist check, they're blinding.
I'm saying, for those who are listening and not watching, literally everyone on set right now is wearing sunglasses.
That is
even the people behind the scenes.
Even the people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I just want to let that be known first.
That's hilarious.
But continue, sir. What do you have on the wrist today, Mr. Never Repeat a Watch?
Okay, so still still feeling myself, not repeating the watch. We're on episode 22. So you guys know I have at least 22 watches.
But before you say what you're wearing, if you ever repeat a watch, what happens? Do we get to penalize you?
Do
we get to buy you like something silly that you have to wear for like 7 episodes straight?
I don't know.
We'll figure out something.
He has to wear the unicorn flick flag.
There we go. I don't think he'd be mad at that though.
Yeah, I'd be down for
it's
that.
a watch. You're gonna be mad at.
I'd be down for that.
All right.
So I'll wear the unicorn flick flag for the next 7 episodes after I repeat a watch.
All right, done.
Okay.
What you got on?
What you rocking with?
Okay, so I am rocking the Earth Moon Swatch.
So the man who couldn't get one has 2.
The man who couldn't get one has 2.
Respect.
This is actually one of my favorite colorways. Of course, Uranus is my governing planet, but something about the Earth, man, that mint green with the navy and the brown accents is just like sick.
It's nice.
So, still same thing, went through the fire, had to, twist some arms, kick in a few doors, and got a moon swatch.
Okay. My man went to battle.
Yes.
All right. What do you got, Ben?
Episode 22. Thom came through, so I came through with 2 watches. 22 and a double.
Okay.
So on the right wrist, I got the first Omega in space. It's number 15222.
Flex.
So there you go. It's on. So there's a phenomenon here.
Yeah, that one you're confusing me a little bit.
It is an Omega. Obviously, it's a Speedmaster.
Right.
I have a Grand Seiko strap and buckle on it.
Yeah, that's where it's throwing me off.
It just looks better than the Omega one.
That could be like a really dope collab, though. Imagine if Grand Seiko did a Speedmaster.
Never happen.
It will never happen.
A spring drive Speedy.
There you go. And then on my left wrist is the real banger.
Oh my goodness.
It's sauce with some sauce with some sauce.
It's a lot of sauce on this episode.
It is a Patek 5980R on a custom.
R is for rose gold, ladies and gentlemen.
A custom made Patek bottle green strap for sauce. And then for some extra sauce, the dial is also Tiffany stamped.
Ooh.
Shout out to our boy John Wrist & Co. for
He's the
letting me
best.
wear this to the episode.
The legend.
Knowing green's our favorite color, so shout out to him.
Green is the favorite color. On my wrist is a Rolex Pepsi GMT. This watch is from our friend John.
Shout out to John.
Shout out to John. So John is, for those that don't know, it's kind of like Goodfellas. Like John he's a friend of ours.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
he's a friend of ours, and one day you'll see him on the show. But right now you get to see some of his pieces, and this is a good one. John let me hold on to this for a few days, and I've actually been having a lot of fun with this.
It's hard to take off. Jubilee's super comfortable.
It is super comfortable. It's really, really nice. And I wasn't really a Jubilee guy. My experience with Jubilee bracelets are always like the vintage Rolexes, which have a lot of stretch.
Yeah.
This one is actually really firm and super comfortable. So I've been enjoying this. This one is great. And to the special guest of the evening, Thom, what do you got on the wrist?
I'm wearing a Doxa 300 in the professional colorway.
Ooh.
The classic orange.
Super
Sick.
classic, the professional.
Picked this up over at Watches of Switzerland a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
It's I'm a new watch collector, and I've kind of naturally gravitated towards like diving watches. I just like that. I feel like they're kind of like the Land Rover Defender of watches. Like I like that kind of like rugged utilitarian kind of look. So this I got this watch a couple weeks ago, and I wear it like every day.
It's awesome. Our friend Ram would approve.
Oh, 100%.
So we have a friend who's he's a friend of the pod, and he's gonna hate me for mentioning this because I think this is maybe the 5th or 6th time I mentioned this on the show. But he has 9 Doxas.
9 Doxas, like in
Really
every
love
color,
Doxas.
Because I was tempted to get 2 colors.
I think he's got 3 or 4 professionals.
Yeah, he like
Okay.
repeats
Different
colors.
colors.
He's like he's
They
serious.
all-
But
Real
he's
deal.
also
And there's,
he's an avid dive watch collector. He loves dive watches.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
not just Doxas. He's got a date sub that he acquired recently. He's got an aqua dive, which has a really cool story. I know he has a super ocean. But yeah.
I feel like the sub is like the perfect gateway drug for dive watches. Like
Sure.
I got that like last year, and ever since it's like I'm just like I gravitate towards wanting to wear that watch, the Doxa, like almost every day.
Fire.
Nice.
So getting right into it. Who are you, Tom? Where are you from?
So I'm New York born and raised.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm a editor by trade. I've been doing it my whole life. Kind of slowly migrated into the fashion world. Was editing a magazine over in Germany, and 3 years ago, I became the editor-in-chief at Snobiety.
Awesome.
So just wrapping up my tenure over there. But actually, one of the last big projects I was working on over there was to kind of build out our like watch vertical and our coverage on that topic.
Yeah.
But it's just been kind of like riding a wave. Like I feel like the relevance of watches has just kind of swelled over time recently, especially with young people.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like it used to be an old man's game.
For sure.
For a long time.
But there's a lot, I mean, and it has so many things in common with like the world of high snobiety, because it's like, it's all about rare things, all about personal style, all about like drops, having the right plug.
Yeah.
It's like, there's so many similarities between that world and the watch world. It's almost like a mix of that and like art collecting kind of.
That's a really interesting take on it, because that's kind of where we see it going now. And like even recently, and we had posted today, there was the Cartier London crash that had just been sold. I think it was via the Loop This auction, and it went for an astounding 1.5
It's nuts.
million. It's crazy.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Right. And it's and the thing with that watch too, it's not like design wise, it's an exceptional watch. I love the Cartier crash, a grail piece for me for sure. But this particular one was, I think it was a piece that was made during the year it was introduced.
Yeah.
But outside of that,
It wasn't anything really special.
there wasn't
going
anything
for it.
particularly special about it, other than the fact that like it's almost
It's an OG.
it's impossible. It's an OG and it's impossible to get. And there was someone I was talking to who commented and was saying that, you know, we're entering this phase where watches are now being consumed like fine art.
I absolutely agree. And I think what's kind of happening in the watch world, which kind of started happening in the art world like 10 or so years ago, is that the scope of things is kind of expanding.
Yeah.
Right? Because like when you look at the old auction records, it's all like Daytonas or like Patek's from the 50s or whatever. But now it's like people have kind of consumed that, and they're moving into like new areas. Like
They're moving
it's
into
like weird Cartiers.
Yeah.
You know, like all these kinds of like new things. Like I was joking around on my Instagram right after the Cartier auction, because I was like, shit, if this is going to be valuable, what's next? So I was like, should I get like a Frank Mueller?
I see when you posted that. Yeah. So I'm gonna just make these cool again.
Yeah, and I feel like also like since so many people are getting deaded trying to buy these like classic watches, I feel like the taste sphere is like
It's expanding.
Yeah.
It's expanding. And I think that's what's interesting too, like, you know, over the last year watching what you have done with your team at High Snobiety, kind of venturing off into the watch world and covering it. But how did that start exactly? Like what got High Snobiety? What happened there in your world where they were like, all right, this is what we need to cover. This is what people are caring about right now.
Well, I mean, so the thing about High Snobiety is that we constantly talk about our audience, we refer to them as cultural pioneers.
Yeah.
So the people who don't really follow trends, but are kind of like a step
Setting
ahead of
them,
what's happening. And we really listen to what they're into, right? And so I think like a lot of people who were once into, collecting sneakers are following like street art or like buying fashion. They're starting to kind of grow up a little bit and get into these kind of new types of like asset classes.
Yeah.
And so I think like, and I also feel like the pandemic had a lot to do with it, right? Because like everyone was like kind of keeping their like Uber money in the bank account for a couple of years. And now they're like buying new kinds of things. And so it was really about like listening to the brand community, I think, as much as any like visionary idea that I had.
Yeah.
But also on a personal level, like I also got into watches at that time. And so it kind of, and that's the thing I always like when it comes to magazines, like if you're not into the shit you talk about, it's really inauthentic. And so like, I try to just like,
they're extension of ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, so I just like, I can't fake it. So like, if we're going to do something like that, I got to get into it.
100%.
It's not going to work.
So then, because High Snob is kind of like the one-stop shop for everything, just as far as, like you can actually buy clothing, you can actually like cover what's like, you can see what's happening in the pop culture, now you're covering watches and things like that. Like, where did it all stem from? Like, what was like the first like, flag kind of like stamped in the soil?
With watches or in general?
Just in general, kind of like for the people that don't know where High Snob kind of like came from. Because it kind of popped up out of nowhere for most people, I feel like.
Yeah, well, it was so David Fisher, who founded the company, originally High Snobiety was like his blog. Like he was just writing it. Like he was at school at the time and he would just write about new releases coming out, new stuff from Bape, etc. And over time, like that world kind of like grew and grew and grew into this like huge thing, because back in the day, like not a lot of people knew what like Bape was, or you can find articles on High Snobiety from like 2011 about Virgil Abloh, like a gazillion years before he was like, back when he was still working with Kanye and wasn't like designing clothes. So it's like, I think it's really interesting how that world, which was once really niche, has now become part of like pop culture. Like if you go to like the hospital, like your surgeon might be wearing like Yeezys or something.
It's crazy.
That's a great point, because I remember what the energy was like in New York at that time. Like I remember shopping with Kid Cudi when he was a sales associate at Babe. I remember going to Vashti's 1992 Santos
like Orchard
parties.
Street.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It was a total vibe, and it was at that particular time. We're talking about like the 2010s. In downtown New York City, it was a real vibe, and High Snobiety for me was an extension of that kind of took that and brought it to the masses. And High Snobiety resonates with me on that level where it's like my interest and in my background was in art and design. And then that obviously like extended into fashion and then into watches. And to see all of these different elements come together and the community expand, to me is like really a beautiful thing.
And I think that for me, like the lesson, especially kind of wrapping up my time there, is that if you are committed to what you're into and if you make a big deal about what you're into, it can become a big deal.
100%.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, and it was funny because I was talking to David Fisher, who founded High Snobiety, the other day, and we were talking about NFTs and how people were kind of making fun of NFTs. They seemed kind of weird. And he was like, this is how people were talking about streetwear in like 2008.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I think as long as you have that ability to just like commit to like new subcultures, like I feel like that always pays off. And you see it with watches too. Like no one really gave a fuck about watches. You hear about Royal Oak selling for like under retail like 6 years ago. Even
Rolexes, I mean, the watch that like everyone wants, no one can get now, you know?
Yeah, but the people who really believed in it before, like they have a kind of leg up because they've just been like committed to it. They're
100%.
The fair weather friends.
No, exactly.
Like me.
Nice.
So you are a watch guy now.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yeah, I'm like watch guy in training. I would say. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah.
Listen, we'll stamp you here.
WGIT,
cool.
watch guy in training.
Yeah.
I like that. What was the piece that started it for you? What was the piece that you first was like, okay, I get it, and I'm in.
So I've actually spilled some ink about this.
Okay.
On a website that rhymes with Schmodinky. I wrote an article for them about buying my first watch, which was a Royal Oak 15500.
Okay. This piece here.
Yep, got it right there.
So I want to put emphasis on this. This was your first watch.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you're gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen, do it big. Right. Yes. This is beautiful.
I love it.
Time only, date.
Time only, simple.
Yeah, it's classy.
I fell in love with the Royal Oak. I think, through an artist friend of mine, Andrew Wekua. He has like a two-tone one, like a vintage one. And there's just something about the design. It's like it reminds me of like some of the great industrial design. Like it's just kind of wacky in this weird way. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Memphis design or like just sort of like that really extreme 70s aesthetics that you used to see. And so, yeah, just like something struck with me, like just as an outsider to watches.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just like zeroed in on like, I really want that watch. And just like willed it into existence.
Yeah. When you come from like, the background that we kind of share, would you have like an affinity for like good design and art and fashion? Like it just makes sense. There are some pieces like a Royal Oak and even like a Nautilus, which I know some people are sick of seeing. Just because they've moved to a place where there's a lot of hype behind it. You can still recognize good design, and it's like you see a Royal Oak, you get it. Yeah. You see a Nautilus, you get it. And kudos to Gerard Genta, who is responsible for both designs.
Yes.
It makes sense and it resonates with you. You know what I'm saying? There's something about this piece that is satisfying. There's something about it that's consistent. Symmetry is there. You just look at like the finishing of the bracelet, how, it's a beautiful piece. Like it just makes sense.
And I like that it's like very specific. You know what I mean?
It
like,
is. Yeah.
And because there was a while when like the Royal Oak was out of fashion, like as early as like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think because it's actually a really extreme looking watch.
Yeah, it's like it's stuck in the 70s, but that's the whole point.
Yeah. And exactly, that was the point. Even kind of tapping into history and how everything is so relative. So initially the Royal Oak was designed as like that wow piece during the quartz crisis. So of course, Genta had designed this watch with AP and it became the most expensive steel sports watch.
Yeah, it was the most expensive steel sports watch ever, and it was also the best-selling watch in 1971.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So there's that. This cost as much as a car did in 1971.
Exactly.
The price of a brand new Cadillac, it was just over $5,000.
And this was definitely when the watch industry was, in almost this point of like it was gonna extinct.
Have a job anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, very daring, very bold, very similar to your characteristic and kind of like where you've been, career wise and what you've done for just overall pop culture and what you share. I think this attests to you.
There's something about so I didn't always fancy myself a Royal Oak guy.
Okay.
Until I saw one in person, and then I got it because when you photograph Royal Oak, it's just super masculine, right? In the shape. I mean, you even look at the crown; it looks like it's like a bolt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you hold one, and you can feel it. And then you see the finishing on it and how it plays with light. It is a really nice balance between like negatives and positives. It's a really nice balance between like a masculine and feminine perspective. Which I think is why it is actually really popular with women.
Yeah, and you mentioned that with the finishings, like that for me is like the part that like really geeked me out.
The way it plays with light is amazing.
It's like a choreography. Like when you move it, it kind of just like dances musical. Around.
Yes.
Like, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's like, and it's so cool to kind of make like to take a material like steel and make something so poetic out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Because it's like a lot of the times you think of steel as this kind of purely utilitarian thing. And that's the thing about like the Royal Oak I like too, is like it's the most industrial looking handmade thing in the world.
It is.
Yes, absolutely.
Like it looks like it's coming out of like a factory.
Yeah.
You know, it has this industrial look, but it's like someone in Switzerland was like scratching that shit with like a piece of wood. Like, you know, it's like so crazy.
Especially that bracelet. That bracelet's all handmade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing with the Royal Oak is that they look so robust, but like Perry said, when you touch them, feel them, try them on, they're so refined.
They're very refined. It's got like a very smooth and silky touch to it. So one of the things that you do really well, you know, in your connection with High Snob and that you've done in your career is sort of bridging this gap between pop culture and, you know, the sort of it thing at the time. And how they relate to one another. And that happens to be happening with watches. What is the shared spirit that you think exists within the community of sort of purveyors of art, street fashion, streetwear, where that's going, and watches? Why are watches so important to streetwear right now?
I mean, I think it's about like a design language, right? And I think of this with a lot of other things. So it's like the same muscle it takes to appreciate like a sneaker or like a really cool piece of apparel, like looking at the details, like how it's stitched, what material it's made out of, what kind of like cultural references it has and like the past or whatever. Like that muscle, like you can apply that to furniture, to cars, to watches. And I think with watches, I mean, I think there's just this kind of, they're so tied to personality that I think that's like really what gives them legs on a cultural standpoint. You know, so you see like, oh, like blah 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 wears this kind of watch, this kind of watch, this kind of watch, and it's like such a like commitment on a sort of like personal level. You know, and that's what I love about like the Royal Oak when I got it, is like it almost is this kind of statement of like, this is the look and the idea that like I fuck with on an aesthetic level.
I love that because the word that you use there that really I think nails it is idea. And when I think of streetwear and its origin and where it's gone today, the beauty about streetwear, and I think why it's so popular today, is the freedom that it provides to people, right? To play with highs and lows. And people who are involved in that culture, they don't, like, we love luxury, but the term luxury has expanded for us, right? Where it's like, though an AP costs X and your sneakers cost X, there's a shared spirit. That exists there. Like, and there's an intentionality about choosing what you're wearing today. When you're saying, I'm going to wear these kicks with this watch, this hat, this sunglass, this t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's something for me that Virgil did really, really well. And sort of the architect behind that is playing with that. There was an article that we referenced before that rhymes with Schmodinky. It was written by Nick Marino, but
Nick Marino's my boy. Shout out Nick.
He's awesome. There's a phrase that he used in an article that he wrote about Virgil where he said, I think he was referring to his gold Nautilus. And he was talking about how he wore it like workwear. And I love that phrase.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, I remember talking to Nick when like right after he wrote that article, because, you know, like the kind of daring it took Virgil to like take these really amazing pieces and just do whatever he wanted with them. Because a lot of people are like scared to bust shit down. Or like, you know, like basically like if you do it with bad taste, you essentially make something really expensive worthless. You know, like if I took that Patek and I was like, let me put like a neon orange face on it.
Yeah.
Like I could make it go from like being 200 grand to zero.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So there's something so ballsy and risky about doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you bought a painting at like from Sotheby's.
Yep.
And you were like, I'm just gonna
make it
put
better.
a couple strokes on this.
Yeah.
So funny.
It's like adding paint to a Picasso.
Yeah, so I just think that's such a cool thing. I mean, it's funny going back to the first thing you said. Like we did a poll at High Snobiety with our readers, like right when I started. That was like super informative for me there. Which we asked like a big group of our readers, when you buy something nice, what are you trying to do with it? And like less than 10% of people said, I want to show people I have money. And like 85% of people, like the vast majority said, I want to flex to people that I know something about something.
Yes.
And I think that's really like the thing you're talking about, which is like those codes of saying, hey, like I know about the history of design.
Yeah.
I know that blah, blah, blah wore this like 30 years ago.
Because these are things that are like catalysts for conversation.
Exactly.
Which I think is what that community really cares about. And so I think post like 2010, and we're still experiencing it now, it's like the art of references, right? And that's like where art has gone with like the artists that we love today. When you think of like a Virgil or even like a Kanye West, or, you know, some of these other like fashion icons that we revered, like a Ralph Lauren, et cetera. What are they referencing? Where are they pulling their inspiration from? And then going back and like actually being able to learn something, you know, that you can take with you forward, I think is really, really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, people like really, I think the great art of our time as far as creating things goes is about being able to take things from one place to another.
Exactly.
You know, like I remember I was working on a book about the origins of the polo shirt with Ralph Lauren.
Oh, tight.
And like, you know, basically Ralph just kind of saw that shirt in like the context of tennis and was like, hey, like the swanky guy of today who doesn't always wear a suit, like that's a shirt that they can wear.
Yes.
You know, so you take it from one place and you bring it to another.
Definitely.
Or like I remember when we were hanging out like a couple weeks ago, we were talking about like how you know, back in the 2000s, guys were like busting down G-Shocks.
Yeah.
And like it's like that's the kind of like genius that like propels aesthetic forward.
A lot
You know
of
what I
people
mean?
don't know about that today. That was like a real moment in time. That was like some, you either were like a Pharrell Nigo fan, or you were like in downtown NYC and you witnessed something like that, like firsthand, like busting down like
saw it in the
a
window of a
G-Shock.
jewelry.
That was like a real thing.
you seen the window
Yeah.
of a jewelry store in like downtown Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or we did a collab a couple months ago at High Snobiety with Jacob and Co.
Okay.
And the whole basis of it was like the 5 time zone watch.
Yeah, that was legendary. That was
Legendary.
classic.
Yeah, and it's such a litmus test. Like if you recognize that watch,
Yes.
like it says like what you were doing. In
Absolutely.
Like, the 2000s.
100%. 100%.
Absolutely. You were watching 106 in Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Facts.
Yes.
So talking about like bust downs and customizing watches, how do you feel about that?
I think it's cool. Like
Yeah.
if I could, I kind of feel about it the same way I feel about playing high stakes poker. Like if I could afford to, if I could afford the ride, I would be doing it.
Yeah.
But you know, like if I could just take a pop at like putting some like emeralds in that AP and seeing what happens.
Yeah, I feel you.
Heck yeah. Why not?
But I think it's like, I think, you know, with the Virgil thing, it's like if you feel like you have something to add to something like that, like just go for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Facts.
I mean, how do you guys feel about it? Because I mean, in the watch world, it's a very sacrilegious kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I feel like people should wear what they like. And I think the biggest thing for me is access to information. And so, and what I mean by that is if you want to bust down your watch, go for it. It's not for me, but I don't really wear stones. That's just my thing. Like me personally, I'm not a diamond dude. We always joke that this guy is.
I love that.
He can do the diamonds. But for me, I just want people to have information. And so what I mean by that is, if you're going to do that, know that you are depreciating your watch. And if that's fine with you, so be it. Like, I think most people are purchasing watches that they have no intention in selling. Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't, most people are not buying to sell. That is a popular thing that is happening now, but I think most people who are purchasing watches are not buying to flip.
But that's the thing. So as a watch guy in training, this is one of my pet peeves. Is like, I feel like all watch people are like, I would never resell. I hate resellers. Who's a reseller?
Yeah.
But then they talk about their watches and they're like,
It's
investment.
investment.
And I'm like, invest what?
value.
Like, if you bought stock you couldn't sell, that's not an investment. That's just
Not an
like
investment.
That's just like stuff
I
that
think,
you're
that,
gonna
I
keep
think
forever.
for a lot of people, that's how they reconcile like spending as much money.
That's how they
as
Okay,
do.
you
They're
that's
watching-
what it is.
how
You
they
don't think they're
justify it.
secretly like, oh wow.
I
it's
think
like,
I
you
think
know.
everything has a price.
Sure.
I think the same person who's saying, "Oh, I'll never sell this," you just haven't had the right price offered yet.
Facts.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Pretty true.
I mean, it's still hard. Like, it's like, you know, I can
Not really.
not for you,
Not
it is for
really.
me.
I mean, think about it. If someone said, "I'll give you 50 grand for your OP," you wouldn't sell it. That watch ain't worth 50, but if someone said, "I'll give you 50,"
I
you'd
feel
be
like
silly not to.
I know, but it'd be hard.
But you do it, yes or no?
I would do it.
See?
But it would be hard.
Yeah.
It'd be hard. I would be tempted to say no.
You could buy 10 OPs with 50 grand.
No, I can't.
You could.
Who's going to offer them to me?
Just, I don't know, go to 10 different ADs and find out. You never know.
But you know, I listen. I get your point. But there's there are also those guys who I do know are looking at watches like crypto,
yeah.
and they think that they think that flipping watches is easy. It's not.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know a lot of watch dealers who could tell you, like, for real, like, if you're not like committing to this, and if you don't have like an
It takes a lot
extensive
of money,
line of
too.
credit,
Yeah.
or a lot of cash,
Exactly.
very difficult to make money selling watches.
One of my biggest things too is like most of these guys that are like selling watches is like, but finances or money isn't your issue. So why are you selling watches? Like, it makes no sense. Like, great. Sure. So you want to go ahead, you want to hunt down, you want to chase these watches, or you want to play the game, you want to buy a bunch of watches to get watches and do all these things. But then once you get the watch, you want to sell the watch. And it's like,
It defeats the purpose of
it
everything we
defeats
just
the
did
purpose
together.
in the first place. You might as well go ahead and take that money and invest in something totally different.
Well, I think the problem too is like if you don't actually think the watch is cool and you just want it because it's hard to get, the second you buy it, you're like just stuck with this like expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like you don't care.
You know?
Yeah.
You're like a 40-year-old dude with like a Rolex Rainbow sitting in your like den.
In your den.
Looking
nowhere
like,
to wear it
looking
to.
like fucking Little John in your den. And be like, oh, it's so hard to get this. And you have nowhere to wear it. You're wearing like Allbirds.
I love it.
You know, like I feel like it's like not like you can tell like the people don't actually like want some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
You just want to feel like
We
you're a
see
part
it
of
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see it all the time. And that's why it's so refreshing to... One of the things I love that's happening right now that is kind of akin to like the love that like we have for fashion and streetwear is when you meet someone and you see their collection, you see like the diversity in their collection. And I think that that's really cool because it suggests to me that you are really buying what you like. You know what I'm saying? Because everything doesn't have to look the same, but then when you see the whole collection together, you kind of get it. So that leads me to this next watch that you have. You have an IWC.
Yeah. This is one of the recent additions to my... I mean, all my additions are recent because I started collecting like a year ago.
That's all right.
But yeah, I really, you know, I fell in love with this watch. And for a while, I was looking at like vintage ones because I think this Mark series, there's a lot of cool idiosyncratic
Yeah.
things in it. But I feel like this watch, it's like if you look up watch in the encyclopedia, like it's a picture.
It should
of
be
that.
an IWC.
It actually be
Yeah.
IWC.
One of
like-
my favorite things about this piece is the topography.
Yeah.
Like I love
The font's really good.
It's so good.
So clear, so legible. It's super clean.
There's something about it that's really like, if I can make up a word, Sharpie-esque.
Yep.
That's really dope.
Very sharp, yes. Like super legible.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know? And like so I just like wanted something that I felt, because I also like starting out with like an AP and like I got a Rolex after, like it just felt like everything felt too flashy to like just go. Like I don't know, I didn't want to talk about the watch I was wearing all the time.
Yeah, I feel you.
And you have and the funny thing too is like you have a lot more watches, like, and most of your watches are big boy watches. Yeah. So it's like, where's that medium? You know, especially like you being a new watch collector, and then it's like, oh, I have a Sky Dweller, I have an AP, I have this, I have that. You're like, all right, so where's the regular stuff?
Yeah, exactly. And like, and I just thought this is like something that, like, not that many people are into the marks, but like people who are like really like them.
Yeah, you get
like
it.
a bunch of
it's
ones
good
from,
design.
Like,
I mean,
I know,
love IWC's design language.
I mean, the price is gonna go up, especially after that film.
What's really cool is not only the dial, but what I think what a lot of people don't really talk about often with IWC is that they do really good casework.
Yeah.
The case is fire, and it feels really nice. The edges are super sharp.
Yeah, it's sharp. The lugs look nice on it. I really like. I don't know. It's just like I had this kind of.
It's like wearing a clock on your wrist.
Yeah, and I just zoomed in on it. Like I was just like, I really like this watch.
You see it, you fall in love with it. I totally get it.
Of course, but the Top Gun film is coming out, so like, you know, that's gonna definitely.
Yeah, and
that's
then you got Lewis Hamilton wearing like 3 of them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We'll get to that.
Speaking of celebs, what did you think about the Met Gala this year? I know our boy Cory Gamble was out there.
Yeah, I posted about Cory Gamble because I was like, who gave Cory Gamble the
Tiffany
57?
No,
I'm like, you realize there's only 170 of those, right?
Yeah, Cory has one. Shout out to Cory making it work. However he's getting it done, it's getting done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What did Kanye say? Sometimes you got to boss the wife up.
Yeah,
I call that a Cory Gamble.
I want to know I want to meet the people who are like the non-famous people who have that watch.
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Man, there's probably 1 or 2 of them.
Nah, I'm doubtful.
Yeah,
I think it's all celebrity. That's the LVMH way.
Well, I guess it's Zach.
Yeah, Zach had to like.
That's different.
He
was
paid
like,
$4 million.
He paid $4 million for it.
Yeah,
Which is like crazy. It's like being Zach. How could you even want to wear that watch? Seeing the people who have it.
Oh, I think that makes him want to wear it even more.
No, I would never. I'd be like, this is disgraceful.
You're not Zach.
I don't know. It's not.
Shout out to Zach. He'll be on the show soon.
it's just like. I mean, I think it's like so interesting because it's like that. I feel like that moment was a really important moment and kind of like.
It was
the collision of hype culture and watch culture.
It was
because it was almost like the watch itself is almost like a meme.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, you take like Tiffany box color.
Yep.
You put it on the most expensive watch, and then it's like
they just
copy paste.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, and it's like it's interesting too because like the Moon Swatch is similar. It's like everyone knows what a Swatch is, everyone knows what Speedmaster is.
Yeah.
And then if you marry those two things, it's like
and for that Tiffany Nautilus, it's like everyone knew what was happening because like even in like streetwear, like Supreme did a Tiffany collab with the Bogos, right? Yeah. Everyone knows, the words Tiffany and Co. So the second it's associated with anything, it's just everyone tunes in.
And then Mr. Arnaud came out with like the perpetual calendar.
Yeah,
5740G.
That was like the Galaxy brand.
Made for him.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Do we know?
Was not. I'm not feeling that piece.
I heard some things.
Please.
I mean, they all heard that, but
yeah, please do not.
What were you gonna say?
I heard Voldemort has one too.
There we go.
He probably does.
Yeah. But it was cool seeing like all these celebs wearing these different watches. I think who's the other guy? He was wearing he had the gold the moonshine. Speedy. Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds had the moonshine Speedy.
I thought that was classy.
What's the name too?
Jimmy Fallon rocking that tank with diamonds was a good move too.
Yeah, that was dope.
I liked Adrian Brody had like a solid gold Santos.
Yep.
Yes.
That was looking good.
That was tight.
Love me some Brody.
There we go. What were you gonna say?
What's the cat that plays Spider-Man?
Andrew Garfield.
Garfield was wearing the 57.
Yeah, he was wearing the trilogy, I think.
Andrew Garfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wearing the Omega 57.
He was the second Spider-Man.
What? Oh, I thought you were talking about Zendaya's boyfriend.
No, that's Tom Holland.
Holland.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland has watches too.
He has
he's a big Patek collector.
He is.
He got lots
He's
of
a big collector.
And Zendaya's on it too now.
She's a big
rocking a
Cartier
Nautilus.
Was she?
She was rocking a 57, not
She had a
5711,
Nautilus on
7118R, and he was wearing a 5167R. Obviously, his and hers.
Yeah, he put no on.
Yeah, they were both rocking rose gold Pateks.
Speaking of that, how do you feel? What do you think about the role that social media plays in watch collecting today? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's an accelerator.
Yeah,
it's like it's an accelerator in a good way and a bad way.
Okay,
because I think like this whole community couldn't really exist without social media.
Facts.
Right? Because we're not just like hanging out at the newsstand
Yeah.
looking at each other's watches. But I think it also like it probably, and it's interesting too because like my Instagram algorithm, the second I got a little bit into watches,
it's explosion.
was like here's only watches.
Yeah,
exactly.
Forever.
That's it.
You know, like literally my explore page is all like if you thought like you thought that was the only thing I cared about.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how like social media kind of like bites into those kinds of specific interests and like accelerates them. But yeah, no, I think it's like it's the best of times and the worst of times. It's like the most cloudy clout chaser, clout. Mm-hmm. And you know, people with ideas like being able to express themselves.
That's the cool thing for me too, the people with ideas part. And then also like seeing the effect that it has on all these like micro brands that are popping up. Mm-hmm. And you know, for the first time in a long time, you're starting to see like a really large concentration of like just new perspectives on watchmaking and design.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
And what I'm curious to see is like how the Instagram era is going to like affect the way watches look. Mm-hmm. Like I always talk about how like I like reality TV a lot, like Real Housewives, and usually like by season 2, all the Real Housewives, no matter where they are, they get a totally new wardrobe, and they get some plastic surgery because they see themselves on TV. And I feel like in a way, like watch marketing and like the way watches look is almost playing to the small screen a little bit. Yeah. You know, and that's I think also part of the genius like of the Tiffany Nautilus thing is like it's like, okay, like what's something everyone's gonna recognize? It's like baby blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I wonder how that's gonna affect like the way watchmakers like subconsciously or consciously like are creating watches.
It's gonna be interesting for sure.
Ricardo talked about that a little bit too, just as far as like how, you know, we see things kind of happening like 2 years after we kind of like called it into play. Yeah. So it's like, I think
talking about like their lead time.
Yeah, their lead time's
getting shorter.
To what you're saying, Tom, is like social media is gonna speed things up. I think now, even still, like let's say to attest to Omega and how we give them their flowers, I go to many boutiques. Omega's the only watchmaker that actually like their watches that they release before Watches and Wonders, because they didn't participate, their watches are actually in the case. So they release more watches than anybody in the industry, and then their watches are actually in the case.
It's funny, I was talking to someone recently and we were kind of talking around that. But one of the things that they said was they thought that in the future, and not being that far from now, maybe like the next like 5 to 7 years, that like movements won't be as important to people as they are today. No. That it will truly boil down to like design and design language, where the watch is very important to people, but more so as an accessory, as like something that kind of describes your, you know, articulates your personal taste, your perspective, your point of view, as opposed to like what's inside, which I thought was an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like potential for like the horology part of it to become part of the story, you know, because like, I think if you look at a brand like FP Journe, like when you read about those watches, like you actually learn stuff about how watches work. Like being like, oh wow, like this is how he made a split-second chronograph.
Yeah.
Or this is how he made like a quartz watch that resets itself, or like you almost by reading about the design of those watches, like learn how watches work, kind of. And I feel like that's like, I think with the movements, like I think the design is like probably what gets people in the door, but I feel like the movements and stuff, like that's what is
keeps
going to keep people hooked. You know, it's like gearheads. Like you could be like, oh, I want a Porsche because it looks cool. Yeah. But then you like next thing you know what's under
the hood. Under the hood.
Like, oh, what does this carburetor look like? Like whatever the fuck. You know,
and that's
so like,
that's why everything now, like if you notice, most brands, they're producing watches and they have an exhibition case backs. I think the only body that's like gun ho to it is
the last couple of years that's been like really
like
big.
exhibition case backs is like now the thing is like you want to show this off. You actually want to show that we not only care about what you see on the outside, like here's what's going on the inside.
Yeah, and that has to be pretty too.
Yeah. The only brand that's not doing it, thou we shall not name it. Like Voldemort, right?
That's so funny. But we name them all the time.
Yes.
What made you pick up a Doxa?
I think it was just like, you know, I think the sub was what led me to the Doxa. So like I got a sub and I love my sub. Like I wear it so much.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just like something about how utilitarian it is. It works with everything.
Yeah.
And I think the Doxa kind of was like speaking that language.
Yeah.
And it was like so idiosyncratic.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like what drew me to it.
It's funny because we did an episode on, kind of about the Doxa. It was, Rashawn was bugging us to sort of watch the Becoming Cousteau documentary. He would not let up. I thought it was pretty good.
I tried to watch it 3 different times and I fell asleep.
I loved it.
I didn't even think I made it more than a half hour
Nat
through.
Geo,
Becoming
Cousteau.
Like, so relaxing.
It's very
relaxing.
soothing.
Yeah, it is very relaxing.
It's very soothing.
It's just like this French guy like narrating.
It's very soothing.
It's like the intro of SpongeBob. Where like,
welcome to Bikini Bottom.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I wonder if there is a connection there.
Probably the same guy.
Yeah. And so we did an episode where we talked about like Cousteau and the Aqualung and Doxa. And I am a Doxa fan, and seeing that movie convinced me that I need a professional. So I am in the market for one. That will be my first Doxa when I do pop off finally.
Yeah, and I feel like just learning like with these kinds of tool watches, I feel like it's kind of like the movements thing where it's like maybe you get into it a bit because it looks cool, but
then the history.
Oh wow, it's orange because of this. Exactly. It's got luminescence on it because of that. You can set it to like make sure you don't die. Yeah. In this way, like I think just kind of like almost in your mind, like putting those connections together.
For sure.
Like I think is like a really satisfying experience as like a person who likes stuff.
Yeah. You know? As a person who likes stuff, that's something that we talk about.
We talk about that all the time.
All the time. So what's next for you at SSense? What does the future hold for Thom?
So there's a lot of, things I can say, things I can't say.
Sure. What can you say?
But I mean, the thing, so I first started working with SSense earlier on in my career. So I helped them like create their editorial platform on their site. And they're a really cool retailer because like they really think of themselves from the very beginning as like a cultural institution, and like not just like selling clothing brand, but being like kind of the keeper of all these different
kind of like
creators behind the brand. Exactly. Yeah. Like, so like what I'm working on with them, a lot of it has to do with creating content on digital, social media, but also, creating collaborations, like kind of doing kind of all the cultural production and creative work behind the brand.
That's tight.
Yeah, and it's fun because I think also too, like back when I was first starting out as an editor, like the universal thing when I was in school, like as an editor of my like school magazine was like magazines are dying. Like being an editor is like becoming like a railroad technician in the 1880s or something rather than working on cars. But then I think what happened was like content actually became like the most important thing in our culture.
Yep,
you know, like, and
100%.
everyone became a content creator.
Yeah.
And all these brands had to learn how to make content themselves and talk to their audience like 365 days a year.
Yeah.
And I think like brands like SSense, who are really smart, like they realize that like to kind of put a horse in that race and like, you know, create culture, create content. And I really see that too as like the survival of like the profession that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, is like really like, and I think in a way, you know, I think a long time ago, like people used to poo-poo like this idea of like being an editor and being involved in like companies, being in bed with brands. But I actually think like that's been what's keeping the profession alive.
Oh no, for sure. For sure. And it's what's leading the culture.
Absolutely.
I think it's what's keeping it going. It's what's fueling it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I got a couple of questions for you left before we move on to the next phase. But you are a dad. You got a 2-year-old boy, which is awesome. What is that doing for you in terms of how you're collecting watches? Is that playing any part? Is it influencing you in any way?
I think it's like a good alibi.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's honest.
Because it's like, you know, that Patek ad where it's like, you don't buy it for yourself, you look after it.
Which is a great ad.
Yes.
By the way.
Amazing.
Like,
so when my girl is like, wait, why'd you buy that? I'm like, I'm looking after it for the next generation.
I'm going to tell my wife that.
Myself.
Yeah.
No, but it's actually cool because I'm like, wait, like actually like, you know, this Doxa, like maybe when he goes to college, I'll be like,
here, take the Doxa.
Yeah, you know, like, and then like, so that
he's like, Dad, I want the Sky Dolly. Like, not ready yet.
Yeah,
not ready.
Yeah, maybe get a job or something. But yeah, I think like, you know, but that's I think a cool thing about watches is like, there's very few things in this world where you can actually imagine having them forever.
Yeah,
even like real estate.
Yeah.
So I think that part of them is like really cool.
It
and
is.
Like, especially when you think of that timeline of being a dad.
Yeah.
Kind of like all works together.
It does. What is your dream watch? What's your grail piece? Yeah.
I don't have like grail pieces, but I kind of have like I'm like standing at the edge of my fortress.
Yeah.
Like looking at different areas I'm trying to explore into.
Sure.
You know, so like I think like I really want to get a Patek.
Yeah.
Like sometime in the near future, whenever they'll give me one.
Yeah.
So that's like a little kingdom I'm kind of like eyeing from the binoculars. I think like I really want another Royal Oak.
Okay.
Because I just love him and it's like my first watch.
Which one would you get? What's the other one that you're after?
I mean, like a perpetual calendar would be sick.
Respect.
You know, like I think also
I tried
like,
a vintage one on recently. It was nice.
They're amazing. Yeah.
They're
it's
great.
Just like, and I feel like there's just so much going on. And something I was actually reading. So my girl, she's a writer and like her professor is this guy, Gary Steingart, who like writes about watches. He's like this really funny writer. And he was talking about wanting to get 3940.
Okay.
And it was talking about how with a calendar, it's almost like kind of has to be your watch.
Yeah.
Because like it just follows you around.
Yeah.
In your whole life. You know what I mean? Like if you leave it on the table for like a month, you'll know exactly like when you took it off. Yeah.
Wow.
And have to like know what you were chase doing your own life to set it again. You know, and like I like this idea of having a perpetual calendar almost as this like tracking system.
That's
for
I never thought of it that way.
Know?
That's actually really cool.
But yeah, and then also like vintage. Like I feel like I don't know enough about watches to be like a
is
smart
where it gets
vintage
really
guy.
fun.
But like I feel like that's the next kind of like galaxy brain zone of watch collecting.
Cool.
For me.
Respect.
Yeah.
So we got a game that we want to play. And Rashawn, being our official honorary game host, who develops all the fun in the podcast, is going to set you up. So you want to get to it? What's this game that we got?
So this game is pretty fun. It's called Hi Snob or low snob. So basically, we're gonna show you a couple of images of some celebrities wearing some timepieces. High snob is if you approve, and low snob is they could do a little better.
And we want a little bit of we want the why.
Yes,
the
we
why
want the
is
why.
important.
Yeah.
We want the why. The why is important.
Why.
Of course, we know high snob. You know, you guys are some tough critics, so we want to start from like head to toe. You know, drip. So what they're wearing, how you feel about it, timepiece, how it, you know, complements the fit, maybe time and place, and, you know, it's appropriation.
Cool. So the first image we have here is
we have Virgil Abloh wearing his custom
Mad Paris
Yeah,
Mad Paris
the 5726
Nautilus. Yeah.
Nautilus.
They have emeralds on it, right?
Not this one. This one was murdered out.
Okay.
Yes.
The first murdered out.
The one, yeah.
Yeah.
The one made for Drake had the emeralds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. I'm gonna give this a high snob.
Respect.
R.I.P. Virgil. You know, I think this, you know, it's a testament to his, like, the power of his personal style to kind of just be like, hey, you know, let me first of all be on the Nautiluses before they're everyone's favorite thing,
Yeah.
and then let me go ahead and like get it fully blacked out and like not even keep it factory. So I think, yeah, this gets a definite high snob for me.
Respect. You know what's funny about this watch for me? I have a watch that reminds me of this watch.
Which one?
You guys have never seen it. It's a murdered out Nixon.
Ooh,
I like Nixon. Is Nixon? Aren't they retired?
No, they're still around.
They're still around?
Nixon
Shout
still
out
makes
Nixon.
watches, but it's a all black Nixon, and it's got like a little diamond, a real diamond
Yeah.
inside, just one.
So you got
Where's it
diamond
at? You got to
watches.
wait on the show.
I gotta put a new battery in it.
you know what this reminds me of? We might need to fact check this, but I think at the AP 50th anniversary auction at Phillips, they just sold Karl Lagerfeld's black ceramic
Ooh,
AP. Did you guys see that?
I did
No,
not.
I didn't peep that.
Really?
I know Lagerfeld had a black Santos that he blacked out himself.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he had a black AP also, which
I
they
never
just
knew
sold.
that.
And
Oh,
it's
wow.
really cool looking because like the edges are kind of worn, so it's kind
Yeah,
of
so
like
you can see the
Yeah.
steel under the PVC.
That's kinda
coating.
cool.
yeah, it looks really cool.
I'm gonna go out and say that if Virgil was still alive, LVMH should have asked him to design the Tiffany collab.
The 170th.
Yeah,
Sure, but also like time frame, like they probably
He just said that he
consulted
didn't
him.
ask him. Yeah, true.
Honestly, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's probably like, I mean, doing the turquoise dial sounds like
Yeah, you
a
probably
Virgil idea.
Are you serious?
Like
Tiffany blue dial.
easy,
done.
boom.
Yeah.
Thank me later. Next,
We have, it looks like Tyler Creator, I don't know, he looks like he's in an executive building. Is that the White House or something like that? It's like so Tyler.
He's addressing the UN.
here we go.
Tyler rocking the Cartier Crash. High snob, low snob. How you feel about that?
I'm gonna give this a high snob because also this was kind of like a little bit early on the crash.
Super early, yeah.
Like he's holding an iPhone 10. And he's got that on. I mean, I think also Tyler, like, I think a lot of the, like, I really respect people who kind of like trailblaze, you know? And so I think Tyler, like, he was into vintage Beamers before people were into
He's a
vintage
trailblazer for
Beamers.
sure.
Yeah.
He was into the crash when everyone was still like figuring out the sport watches,
Yeah.
you know? So like, I think it always pays off to like blaze a trail with your taste and just follow that instinct. And so I think he's a really good example of doing that.
100%.
I agree 100%. We got the infamous Skateboard P with his collaboration with RM. What do you think about this piece? High snob, low snob?
I'm gonna give this like a low snob.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think this I think this watch is kind of corny, honestly. And like I like Richard Mille. Like I think the Nadal is like a really cool
Nadal's
watch.
cool.
But I don't know. It's just like it just doesn't feel very like interesting to me as an idea. You know, like the space guy inside. The Richard.
the
it
astronaut
reminds
in
me
the
of the
middle.
corny ones they do with the skull.
Yeah.
And it's just like very like Miami Beach,
Did
but
you
in the not fun
Did you
way.
fuck with the Richard Mille Bonbon collection?
Yeah, see that
Like the ice
either
cream
like
cones and all that stuff? in
yeah,
it?
like I don't really. I feel like Richard Mille's at its best when it's like super functional.
Yeah.
Like this weighs 0 ounces and is made of like 70 different types of titanium kind of vibes. Whereas like I think when they try to be pop, it's like it just feels like crisis vibes. Yeah,
it's like they tried too hard.
Yeah. Next, the legend,
Mr. Lauren himself. Obviously, you have a relationship with Mr. Lauren, publishing the book with him. The reference he's wearing, what's he wearing? Pete?
It's the if we're pronouncing it correctly, Egiziano. So the Egiziano Panerai. This one he's wearing was a redo of the original one, which was produced for the Egyptian Navy.
That 60 millimeter watch?
Yes, it's big.
Yeah,
so he
crazy.
typically wears this over like a leather jacket.
Yes.
This one, it looks like he's wearing over his sweater, just underneath his sport coat. But Ralph is a huge Panerai collector. I love Panerai. What do you think?
I'm gonna give this a high Snob.
Respect.
You know, I can't.
I feel like you can't give
Ralph
anything but a high Snob.
Yeah, Ralph is just like
he's legendary, man.
I remember. So I only met and hung out with Ralph Lauren once. I was like working on this polo shirt book, and I remember I was like sitting in this boardroom on like Madison Avenue, and he walked in and he was wearing like one of the dopest outfits I've ever seen. And he's like, what is he, like 90 years old? Like how old?
82.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah,
he's up there. He was wearing, I remember it was like a pair of sweatpants. He was wearing 2 polo shirts on top of each other.
Yeah, of course.
with one collar popped, right?
And then and then I remember he was wearing these like Italian hiking boots by this brand called La Sportiva.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I was like, I remember seeing them, and I actually like went home and bought a pair of those boots on the internet.
He's
like,
the coolest dude on the planet. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man has exceptional taste. Shout out to the Bronx.
Yes, sir.
Boom boom.
Yes.
Lewis Hamilton.
Lou Hamilton rocking
3 watches.
3 watches.
3 IWC.
3 IWCs.
3 IWCs. He's got the AMG
so we know who's
collab.
sponsoring him.
He's got the AMG collab. He's got
I think he's wearing almost all of his jewelry.
Yeah, dude, that's what they said. They're like, yo, he's wearing literally like 20 rings.
Yeah.
He had 2 on each finger.
Wow.
He's wearing
the Mojave Desert IWC on his right
which
wrist.
Is fire.
Super fire.
Yeah.
And then he's got on the one that they just made for Mercedes AMG Petronas F1 team.
Yeah.
So everyone
the
who
Tiffany
works
adjacent
There we go.
Yeah, everyone who works for Mercedes F1 team now has this watch. So it comes on this like again Tiffany-esque Petronas blue colored strap and rubber, and it comes on a black carbon fiber strap with that Petronas blue contrast stitching, which is also super fire. Us peasants can buy this watch online only, but it does not have any of the Mercedes or AMG branding on it.
Yeah.
I think this is a case to normalize wearing more than one watch at once.
Okay.
Like, let's just start.
I mean, let's go. It's like already.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like having.
If you don't have a GMT,
or
just wear 2 watches.
Travel.
No, listen. Shout out to Ricardo rocking 4 watches.
He
4
did.
watches at the Complecto meetup.
We had an event we did with our homie Jason from Complecto. We did a little watch meet with him, and good friend of the pod, writing contributor Ricardo Samay of Time and Tide was there in full effect, rocking 4 watches.
That's
legendary.
I think can I make some wild watch
Right
predictions?
Let's go.
Okay, number 1, wearing multiple watches is going to become cool.
Yep.
Let's
okay.
You heard it here first. Number 2, wearing ladies' watches.
Yeah.
When you're a guy,
I get down with that already.
And like not even like we're not talking 34 millimeters. We're talking like 26.
Tinies, yeah.
Okay.
The teeny weenies.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think they look cool. I think if you get a big bracelet and kind of dangles a bit, I think that could be kind of cool.
Okay.
And then I think dress watches are the future.
I think
the sport watch has been tapped out as an aesthetic. So I think in 10 years, it's like going to be all about dress watches.
Really great. I'll toot my own horn. I have a really great vintage dress watch collection.
They look cool, and also it's just like that's the way trends work. Like everyone gets into something.
I almost bought a tank.
Everyone gets sick of
What?
it.
Yeah.
I was this close.
I almost bought a tank.
And it's cool, and I feel like you can kind of like, you know, it's like you go back to the Tyler thing, like wearing a Cartier Crash looks a lot different than like wearing like a flooded AP the way all of his peers are. You know, and so I think if like you just get the right people doing it, you know, like I think it
becomes
tasteful. Catch on.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, high snob or low snob?
I'm gonna give this a medium snob.
Medium snob.
I give it a high snob for the for what he's doing in terms of protesting the FIA. And
so what is that all about?
So they're making regulations of you basically can't wear any jewelry, or you have to look and dress a certain way when you're doing stuff involving work.
And so he's
him and just about everybody else is like, this is ridiculous.
It's like when David Stern made all the basketball players wear suits.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the Formula One version of that.
Right.
Exactly.
Shout out to AI. Next.
Yeah, we got
Riri.
We got the queen. We got Riri rocking the King Midas.
With the belly out.
With the belly out. This was the first photo she shared when she revealed that she was pregnant. So, what you think, Tom? High snob? Low snob?
This is getting a high snob for me. I mean, Ree, like, she's invincible as a style icon for me. I think, you know, we've been at High Snobiety, we like there's a running update forecast of her maternity looks. You know, so we have one editor who, whenever there's a new Rihanna look, it's like a catalog of all of these. And I mean, she's really like taking that whole category of dressing to like a whole new level. I mean, I think the King Midas, for me, that's like my aesthetic sweet spot. Like, and I think actually like the Royal Oak kind of sits in that vibe as well, like in that kind of 70s era. So this gets a high snob for me.
Oh yeah,
respect. And it's funny too, because I remember right before she wore this watch publicly, the King Midas was starting to kind of like come back. Like I remember seeing it pop up everywhere, and then boom, Rihanna had it. So
someone probably knew she bought one.
Yeah, shout out to A$AP Rocky.
Harlem's in the building.
Yeah, Harlem's in the building. Next, we got funny man.
We got the funniest man on earth. Some may say.
Not me.
I'm happy you said it. Yeah.
I think he's pretty funny.
No, he's funny.
We got Kevin Hart rocking the RM
1101.
1101. What do you think about this? High snob, low snob?
I feel like I'm gonna give this a low snob. I don't mean to hate on the Richard Milles because I like them, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like when I see Kevin Hart, I feel like he's the kind of watch collector who's like compensating for something, which is like he's got the nicest of everything.
He does,
but for some reason, like when you see it on him, you don't feel jealous or feel like
we don't care,
you know. And so like I feel the same way about like Ed Sheeran.
Yeah,
like I'm like he's wearing the dopest watches,
Facts.
and I'm just kind of like, okay,
yeah,
like you're on the list. Like, and I feel like it doesn't even like go that well with what he's wearing.
Yeah,
or, you know, any of that stuff. So
yeah, it's just like checking a box.
Yeah, it's like I got the nicest version of this.
Yeah,
and I'm just
exactly.
wearing it.
I think too, like especially like with the Kevin Hart and listen.
I think Rashawn picked a bad.
No shade at Kevin, but also it's like I don't really feel like I've seen a lot of Kevin Hart's watches. He has an amazing collection, but it is it feels like he's compensating for something else, right? Like there's nothing in there that feels like it's uniquely him.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's all like whatever's hot.
You have to have it.
Like I got the hot shit, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, where do you fit in all this? Because him being such a funny man, none of his watches kind of speak to that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's all business.
I'm waiting for something that's like very Kevin.
See, even like a Constantine Chaikin Joker or like a
something
Mars
like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like something,
it's all serious.
It's all business.
Like something that's like actually
and none of them
interesting.
speak to him. It just kind of feels like I have rich friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's like he wears all the Instagram watches.
Exactly.
Because I feel like if you have infinity money and infinity clout, it's almost your responsibility to like take it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
For
I
sure.
agree with that. I agree with that. This is the last one, yeah. We got Braun at the Super Bowl, rocking the Tiffany stamped 5711
with the Dries Van Noten button down.
Yeah, with the matching shorts.
Well, the funniest thing was I was gonna share the photo. I was gonna do a 2-part photo. So in the beginning, it's him like this. Then the next photo, he's like doused in sweat, shirt open, and he's like running to like the Yukon.
I love it. I actually think LeBron. I kind of respect LeBron's watch game. It's almost bordering on the Kevin Hart dilemma, where you're like, oh, you just have the nicest of everything. LeBron kind of broke my heart recently, though, because like when the 50th anniversary jumbo and yellow gold came out, in the most perverse regions of my mind, I thought maybe one day, maybe I'm gonna somehow get that watch.
Not anymore.
And then he was like the first one.
Courtside. He was saying courtside.
It's gone, baby.
The beautiful yellow gold.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm a yellow gold guy. And like, you know, AP doesn't make a lot of watches in yellow gold.
It's the first time I do yellow gold watch in a while.
And it's gorgeous.
Beth was talking about it, remember?
Yeah.
with the smoked dial.
Yeah, smoked yellow dial.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Sick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he really broke my heart with that, so I'm gonna give him a low snob.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bron.
Sorry, Bronny, it had to be you.
Yeah, he didn't make the playoffs either, so.
Oh yeah, he gets a little snob.
So yeah, and one of the celebs wearing the Tiffany Nautilus.
And yet another one.
Yeah. We talked about Cory Gamble. Just, you know, for fun, high snob, low snob, Cory Gamble.
I'm gonna give him a high snob.
Really?
I think rocking it with the tux is a flex.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the tux was good.
Okay.
I think I think getting it, like I feel like getting that watch when you're Leonardo DiCaprio is like kind of whatever, but getting it when you're him,
Cory
it's
Gamble.
like, yeah, that's skills. Like that gives us that's like
shout out to Cory Gamble for the finesse.
He's finesse
Shout
God.
out to him for the finesse.
He's finesse God.
Like that says to me,
Kanye got
like,
him kicked out
Kanye
the family.
probably got one.
Well, I'm saying Kanye got himself kicked out the family. Cory Gamble was like, "I'm good, fam."
it's like when you watch
right
like,
here.
For one of us.
it's why you watch like when you watch like Luka Doncic play basketball and he's kind of like slow.
Yeah.
And he's kind of herky jerky.
But he's dropping 40.
I could maybe play like that in a game or something. That's
Cory
kind of like
Gamble
Cory Gamble
figured it out.
Watch. Yeah.
Shout out to Cory.
Yeah.
Man, this has been fun.
Really fun.
We've enjoyed this.
It's a pleasure. Let's just do this like without mics like tomorrow.
For sure.
Heck yeah.
You got it. We wish you much success on the next journey.
Yes, congratulations.
Getting to know you has been a blast. It's funny because it's we met you at the AP event that we went to.
Yes, sir.
For Phillips. And you know, it's just this is one of the beautiful things about the watch world is like you meet people, you get connected, and it's like it's not anything that you even expect. It's all kind of happenstance, and then it blossoms into these other things, and that's what's awesome about it. So thank you for being on the show. Absolute pleasure.
It's an honor, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it. You know, some of the words you shared with us when we went to dinner really, really touched me. And I appreciate, you know, you sharing some of those sentiments about the show and how important we are and, you know, what the future could hold for us. So much appreciated.
Take it to the moon, guys.
We will. Moonswatch.
Heck yeah.
We all wear moon swatches.
You got the swatches to prove it.
We do. Facts.
Yes, sir.
So this has been great. This is the wrap of episode 22.
Double up.
And we'll see you all next week.
Peace.
You can find us. Hold on.
Hold
on.
The gun.
You jumped the gun.
I jumped the gun.
It's
I did
okay.
jump the gun.
We gotta shout out the IG handle at @WristCheckPod is where you can find us. We're also on TikTok for all the kids who are into watches.
Yes.
I gotta get my nephew to show me how to use it.
We're on Spotify, audio and visual.
Yes.
Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
So we're everywhere. And if you're never there, find us. We'll be there too. And respect.
Peace.
Deuces. Officially.